I don't know. We're live here. Hello and welcome to Movie Phone. Instagram bugs me. Is it live? I don't know. I can't tell. Anyway, good times. Uh, Hello. And we are here at Bono Stuff. And I'm going to introduce our lovely guest and then play with Instagram. If you don't know, my lovely wife, Dr. Maha. I wanted to get an episode with her as they're always fan favorites. And my hair's crazy again. I wanted to point out that she is in the process of having a book published that is about vaginismus. So I'm going to let her talk about that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Schmutz.
Yes, it is in the publication process at the moment. Writing a book on the treatment of penetration disorders in women from an integrated perspective. I will not say too much. I will leave you in suspense, but I don't know when it's going to be out yet. Hopefully end of the year, but yeah, we're in the editing process at the moment, so we will keep you posted.
Exciting stuff.
Taking also into consideration cultural factors. So, I worked in the Middle East, so worked with a lot of Arab, Muslim, South Asian clients. So, it's also written in the lens of working with, these kinds of cultural and religious backgrounds as well.
Yeah. Do you want to explain the condition we're talking about?
Oh yeah. So for you, hey
Catherine.
I assume that people know what it is, but no, not everyone does. So vaginismus is part of the penetration disorders. So penetration disorders basically are sexual dysfunction where women can't have intercourse or insert a tampon or have a gynecological exam due to either vaginal pelvic muscle contractions or fear, like a phobic response, or both, or pain, basically. So a lot of women struggle with that, but not everyone knows what it is because not a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier, and the common or one of the more popular versions where that's been displayed is the Netflix miniseries Unorthodox. So if you haven't seen that, very good miniseries, very interesting, and they do show a little bit about that. And again, her book hopefully will provide some good insights for folks dealing with some of those issues. Again, very culturally relevant and can be very debilitating. So again, at the end of the day, we're both trying to help heal some folks, and we're going to switch over a little bit to talking about COVID, the effects that kind of these lockdowns have had on relationships. So those not familiar, Dr. Maha here is a sex and relationship therapist and coach, depending on where you are and all the fun logistics around that.
And what you're looking for.
And what you're looking for as well. So the question becomes, with the lockdown now a little over a year, we're at a year and a month, I guess. So what have you seen with the lockdown? Again, people kind of being almost forced into spending more time together, that kind of thing. So tell us what you're seeing.
In terms of the clients that I've been working with, I would say the majority of them have had positive outcomes or consequences of COVID.
I know we have.
In terms of actually having more time to spend together, because I think a lot of couples, especially if both of them are working and they have kids and they have a lot going on in life, don't end up spending a lot of time together or enough time together and quality time together. So we're not talking about just watching TV together or doing chores together or talking about chores or talking about the kids or all that stuff. So I think a lot of couples that I've worked with, at least, and I'm sure that's not the case for other couples, they've actually enjoyed the fact that they've been together more and had more time together to spend together. At the same time, I think after spending months or a year of that together and not having a lot of opportunities to do other things in life because of the lockdown, I think a lot of people have also been maybe ignoring. I don't want to say ignoring because that makes it sound like it's in their hands, because we don't have a lot of control over a lot of things these days. But a lot of people haven't had the maybe opportunity or energy even to spend on looking at opportunities for them individually to nurture their own interests and separateness in the relationship. Because I think it's healthy for couples to have their own individuality and separateness, and also obviously find ways to connect and feel close to each other. And so, though, for my clients at least, or the majority of my clients, they've had more opportunities to get closer and be more connected and spend more time together. A lot of them have not paid enough attention maybe to how can I also nurture my own individual needs and interests and separateness. So I think now we're coming to that point. Actually, this is a conversation that I've been having with a lot of my clients these days of like, okay, well, how can we do both? It's not just about the togetherness. It's also about your separateness.
Right.
What are some of the things that you can do as a woman, man, person, other than being a mother, parent, partner, spouse, employee, that nurtures different parts of yourself as an individual?
Yeah, and I'll applaud Maha here for since we moved here to Colorado, she's gone deep into the rock climbing stuff. And again, there's so much to do outdoors here.
Yeah.
So
I've been practicing what I preach.
at 100%. So I will vouch for her reaching her own individuality in that sense. And
I've been really enjoying it. It's been great for me. I feel much better.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah. No, anyway, we can move on. So the individuality piece.
Well, what about you? Actually?
What about me?
Yeah. How has that affected you during COVID times?
I think because we've been adapting, and because she, in her passion and pursuit of rock climbing and indoor rock climbing, especially, got the COVID and then gave it to me, and then I got pneumonia. So thanks.
You're welcome.
So I'm still recovering from that a little bit, and now she's back to running around and climbing everything. So I haven't been able to pursue as much individuality as maybe I would like, and this is getting annoying here. I don't know if I can switch this to not go dark. I'm going to try that as we play around with that.
I think it probably ended.
Maybe. We'll see. Anywho's it's. So yeah, it's been... it's paused. Okay, here we go. So, my own individuality. And I've been building my business and practice and online stuff. So for my clients and things like that, that's become a big part of my passion, pursuit, and all that. I have the garage gym, and hopefully I did sign up for the year of rock climbing as well. And I've been enjoying the little bit that I've gotten to do, and I'm looking forward to getting back to that. And even though it's my individuality, but also with you, and here comes Lexi. So yeah, it's been, and one thing we're going to talk about is this men's concept. So another thing I've been able to do is, thanks to a connection she actually gave me, Lee Povey of MYP Coaching, joined their men's group, which is a weekly situation and has been very interesting and fun to say the least. So just adapting to that and going on the journey to explore. So the other topic that we want to talk about is that men's issue concept, and the myths around some of that, what men are supposed to be like, or what's supposed to be easy, especially when it comes to some of the sexual issues that you deal with on a consistent basis in your practice. So tell us about it.
Yeah, that's definitely a subject that I'm becoming more and more interested in. I think I've always enjoyed working with men, but also lately I'm realizing more and more that not only do I enjoy it, but I also think that they maybe even need it more than women sometimes, because men are not encouraged to, first of all, talk about their feelings, and second of all, seek help. All of these things are vulnerable.
Tough it out, man.
Quote unquote. Yeah, exactly. So if anything, I think
put some dirt on it.
a lot of men would benefit from, it doesn't have to be therapy. It could be, like you said, finding a group of other men or a safe place to talk about things, or a couple of friends to open up with. So, I think there's a lot of societal, cultural expectations that we place on men when it comes to sex and intimacy. The typical, like, men should be, up and ready to have sex anytime, no matter what, which I think is, absolutely false. And I don't think we recognize how complex men are, that it's actually, they're actually just as complex as women, if not more sometimes. Men also need to feel safe, not just physically, but also emotionally. A lot of times.
I'll pause and say, of course, the masculine, feminine. We're not talking just male, female, binary, all that stuff. So back to you.
Yeah. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Just that, again, there's obviously relationships that do not have a man and a woman per se, so non-traditional, if you want to call it that. But yeah, the masculine, feminine is more a little bit, we can replace when we talk about man, woman, with masculine, feminine. Usually there's going to be a masculine and a feminine.
Or you can relate to being a man, but you're not like,
Right. And so, but again, we're talking a little bit about
gender norms. But yeah, I get what you're saying. More the masculine, feminine energies, parts of ourselves. Yeah, and
again, there's a spectrum, and there's times when we switch where maybe she's a little more masculine traditionally than I am, and maybe I take on more of a feminine role, and I'm okay with that. But having that conversation, understanding what those terms mean, and again, I think in this time of just exploration of information and different concepts, it's important that we do acknowledge those sides of things.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of men, or the masculine, it is generally seen as weak or embarrassing or shameful to talk about feelings, ask for help. And when it comes to sex, there's a lot of expectations or myths around male sexuality and how men should be when it comes to sex, and so I think that puts a lot of pressure on them to perform in a certain way, and a lot of times, men I work with feel very ashamed and inadequate and incompetent because they're not able to perform the way that they're expected to, in terms of like what the society or culture expects from men. So part of my work is to just kind of normalize the fact that men also have emotional needs, and a big part of sex is mental, psychological, and emotional. It's not just about the physical urge or need or instinct to have sex. It's much more complex than that. So I think I guess one of my messages to encourage more men to talk to someone about these things in a safe way, obviously, and to say that you're not alone. Most men, if anything, struggle with sexual and intimacy type of issues, and they don't talk about it to anyone, or especially not to each other, because it's even more embarrassing.
Each other, men.
Other men, yes, to men specifically. Men to men, exactly. So that also makes it more difficult for them to know that, there are other men out there that feel the same way, or are going through the same thing that I am, or have been through the same thing that I am going through. So that, they can't even support each other in that regard because they don't even talk to each other about their struggles.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in general need connection. We're social beings.
I'll jump in and say the statistic. There was a research study that came out recently. Statistic was every day of loneliness, and I didn't see exactly how they defined everything, but every day of loneliness was equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes.
Yeah.
A day.
Yeah.
So it's got significant physiological effects. Loneliness, especially on top of, again, these gradients of holding back things that you'd want to really express, and we would be so much healthier emotionally and physically if we can express ourselves in some of those capacities.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. I don't remember where I read that, but definitely the quality of our relationships is a huge determinant of our health and longevity. And so, yeah, absolutely. Loneliness is a huge negative factor in terms of our health. We all need connection. And I think, again, this goes back to men. We underestimate how much men need connection as well. And men feel lonely because they don't feel they can, open up and be vulnerable. And they need a sense of community just as much as us women do. So, yeah, I guess, again, my message is for men to know that they're not alone and that it's okay to reach out.
And there are resources, again, between men's groups. If you're interested in MYP coaching, that's kind of the group I work with. There's definitely a few other ones out there that we're familiar with, and we can guide you towards if you're interested. On top of that, again, finding, even if it is just you're investing, whatever it is, $200 in a coach per session or a therapist. There's I listen to a lot of podcasts. Every freaking podcast now has, and I keep forgetting the name of it. It's like Hello Health or something like that. Or BetterHelp. Yes, BetterHelp. That's kind of this Uber, almost very digital age way to connect people to a therapist. But bottom line is there are options out there for if you're eager to explore finding some of those resources. There's definitely, again, we're in this age where we have almost too many options. So, understanding that there are resources, if you need somebody like us to help guide you towards those resources, we're happy to. She specializes in this. So if you're interested in reaching out to Dr. Maha, we can get you connected there. And on Instagram, we're live here on that, at Sexual Healing Doc. Yep. Hi there.
Let's see who's
We're live.
watching.
People are coming and going there. Feel free to jump into the comments and all that fun stuff. Questions
Let's do a live Q&A.
Yeah, AMA, ask us anything. But yeah, I did. So I wanted to double up on that. And again, that connectivity bit, again, as a man, I'm fortunate enough to we have the high school football team I played with. We have a monthly call that we started doing after one of the guys ended up committing suicide because he didn't have that outlet most likely to reach out to. And again, we said, let's just at least create this platform to open it up and allow people to maybe connect. Again, it becomes a very superficial connection initially, but I think then we can go deeper into some of these conversations and again, allow folks to connect deeper. Again, I try to keep in touch with a few specific guys throughout my year, especially on the football team that I still consider really good friends, and I'm able to chat with them about their relationships, my relationship, where we are, and again, going a little bit past that superficial. And I will share that, we just moved to Colorado. On top of seeking, people ask us, what prompted the move? On top of seeking better access to nature, which again, we were pretty surprised, Orange County, we thought would have a little bit more rock climbing and things like that. But on top of that, we're really pleasantly surprised or happy that, we have all this access to trails and nature and proper hiking and lakes and rivers and all this fun stuff, rock climbing and things like that. One of the main drivers was kind of that social connection aspect where we were in Orange County for a year and a half or a year and 3/4, if you will. And it was just we were struggling to find that a lot of those good connections. And I think part of that is just a cultural thing, being in different parts of people's lives. Where we were, Dana Point had it's a very, very different culture, surfer culture, a more retired population. So I think we had trouble finding folks like that. I'm an East Coast guy, I'm a New York guy, so I think we had trouble there as well. And again, having come to Colorado, where we are. Before we moved here, we knew a lot of folks and we were connecting with them, and we're like, we think it'll be a better vibe. And so far, again, we've been here, whatever, 6 weeks. It's been a really good vibe of connection, deeper connections, even in 6 weeks than we had in almost 2 years in Orange County. So we're just excited to continue to grow that network and expand. And again, that connection side of it is so vital. And in this digital age where you can connect with almost anyone, anytime, to do it on a deeper level, but B, to, she's able to call her family in Lebanon. I call my mom every day. It's great to have those connections, but to go deeper might take that extra step and reflection internally and things like that. So
yeah. And I think going back to that point in terms of depth, it's up to you how deep you want to take it. You can keep the conversation superficial, or you can put yourself out there, make
and
yourself
superficial has a little bit of a negative connotation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously
we're just talking about surface level, not going into analysis.
But that's what I mean by the quality of your relationships. Like if you have 20 quote unquote superficial friendships, is that the same as having 3 deep, meaningful friendships? Is that better? Is that worse? Is that the same? I don't have the answer to that, but I think I would encourage you to reflect on that. Like, what am I missing in my relationships these days?
Right.
The ones that I have and the ones that maybe I don't have and I want. Maybe some relationships we don't need actually in our life, and we need to kind of let go of those.
Yeah, and the other trap that this brings up for me is, again, we think that I think that it's not a clear, there is a professional who can help me understand and talk through some of these concepts. And again, it's not necessarily that if you were in a session with Dr. Maha, that she's going to be like, oh, you should cut that person out of your life, and that person you should spend more time with and definitely connect more with. But what it was making me think of is, and Catherine just messaged us, she had to jump off of watching us. We'll talk soon. She has a session she has to start. But what it was making me think of is, again, we have physical people, a physical therapist, which again is still not super like, oh, I should have my body checked out, the way that we have financial planners or accountants that are dealing with our money and helping us hopefully optimize our financial situation. When it comes to the medical side, the physical side, we're only sometimes worrying about that when it becomes a problem. Same thing with the relational side. There are people who can help us prevent a lot of these issues, especially if you're in a relationship. There's ways to start to talk about tools that you can use to communicate better, to help avoid a lot of the common pitfalls. Again, we've talked about this. I think it comes up on almost every time we go live together or do any of these recordings. So again, I wanted to double down and come back to the fact that, again, there are resources for all these aspects of your life. Again, financial, there's somebody who's going to help your car be optimized, right? And there's somebody who's going to help your dog learn to play.
It's Lexi bidding for connection right now.
Bidding.
She wants to connect. Go get it.
Yeah, so there's a vet, and again, there's dog trainers who can help you. And again, we've put a lot of money into helping figure out what's going on with Lexi sometimes, and how do we, start to change her behaviors.
Well, and again, a lot of the changes with Lexi aren't about changing her. They're about changing how we deal with her, how we respond to her. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of the same thing in a relationship. It's not about changing your partner. It's about looking at how can I adapt to the situation? How can I change the way I respond to my partner, change the way I look at my partner, view my partner, feel about the behaviors that bother me?
Is there something that bothers you about me?
Of course. Of course. And I'm sure there are things about me that bother you.
Never.
I'm perfect.
She's perfect.
So, going back to you can work with someone to prevent issues in your relationship. I would even go further than that and say you don't even have to be in a relationship. I think I would encourage people to work on their relationship with themselves first and foremost.
There's that cliche saying, you'll never be able to love anyone else until you can love yourself, kind of.
Yeah, and I want to take that with a
grain of salt.
Because there's an implication there that you have to be whole and complete and fully
Mhm.
healed before you can have a healthy relationship, which isn't necessarily the case.
Right.
But I do think, of course, there is a lot of value in, you know, self-reflection and self-awareness and growth, personal growth. So yeah, I mean, if you're willing to do the work for yourself, you're going to be willing to do the work for your relationship, probably. You can't do the work for your relationship if you're not going to do the work for yourself.
Right.
So,
and
yeah.
and again, that we come back to we should put our unilome somewhere over here
oh
too.
yeah,
But the fact that everything is a journey, it is a continuous kind of spectrum of growth, and sometimes it's not just pure growth. It can be regression, if
Yeah.
you will.
it's
And so,
not a linear.
yeah,
path.
it rarely is. And the unilome, again, we have it on our car. We do have a sticker of it somewhere, but yeah, it's this cycle and things, and eventually maybe you get to that point of enlightenment.
Curves.
Yeah, and so again, it's important to understand that, again, whether you're in a relationship, not, again, I don't know if I'm a rarity, but before I met this one, I was always kind of in that mindset of, I want to continue to be a better man for that eventual person I choose as a wife, with that goal in mind, but also thinking about, and again, I am far from a perfect man, she'll tell you. But the point
But I
being,
appreciate that you put the effort in and you're on that journey.
yeah, and again, but even in my 20s, and what I'm trying to say is, I was always kind of keeping that eye on the prize, if you will, of, almost to the detriment of other things.
Yeah.
Of saying, okay, I have this mindset, and of saying, again, it's that growth mindset of, I want to continue to get better. I want to be more flexible, more vulnerable. These things that, again, we all should be striving for, I think, emotionally. And again, there's some commonalities. Again, everyone's going to be a little different, but until you do the assessment, and again, I always compare this physically. So again, everyone should be able to, have full range of motion of their shoulder or their neck, so we can avoid a lot of the aches and pains, shoulder pains that happen, surgeries that happen down the line. Same thing in relationships, same thing. I feel like we come back to that message a lot, but it's something that I think needs to be shouted from the rooftops. Okay. You want to end it there? Yes, no, maybe. No. Anything else to leave the people with? Anything from that whole little diatribe I just went on?
I don't know. You kind of lost me there. What's happening? Oh. I thought there was a question. No, there was no question. Okay. Yeah, we can leave it there. We can come back another time. If you have questions, send them over or put them in the comments. I'm curious. And yeah, I prefer having a dialogue as opposed to kind of just talking about a concept,
We're having a dialogue.
Yeah, but you're talking to them. I'd like us to talk to each other or to them together.
I'm just looking lovingly in your eyes. All right, guys. So we will wrap it up there, and whatchamahezes. So couple. Let's close it up. Again, we talked about Dr. Maha's book coming out soon. Hopefully,
Call me Dr. Maha.
I know. My wife's book. My wife.
I don't even let clients call me Dr. Maha.
Anyway, but just trying to be respectful of the title and the degree and the PhD.
Okay, I'm Maha. Hey, I'm Maha.
Hi, Maha. So book coming out soon. Hopefully, still going through.
Okay.
If you're familiar with the publishing process, a few big steps to finish up there. Topic being vaginismus. If you know somebody, penetration disorders. If you know somebody who could benefit from that topic, talking about that topic, discovering or exploring that topic. Again, this is the lady who is an expert on all that. We talked about COVID effects on relationships, people kind of being stuck together and not having an escape, and the importance of exploring your individuality, which was a good takeaway, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we jumped over to men's issues, where, again, there are resources available for all these different aspects. We want to keep pushing people towards mental health, experts towards folks that specialize in relationships, or even seeking out your own individuality, your own exploration. And the men's side of things that again she wanted to talk about was again the myths around, you know, the mask of masculinity is a term and a book that I know a few folks have written that book. There's two books that I know by that name: The Mask of Masculinity, myths, complexity, being vulnerable as a man, these kind of societal norms around the how difficult it is to be vulnerable and the judgments around all that. But basically, coming back to, are you growing as a human? Can we help you with that in some way? That's what we're here for.
I want to put this out there. Actually, I've been considering starting a men's group specifically for your sexual discovery awakening journey. So I'm just going to put this out there. If anyone is interested, let me know and I will start putting it together.
Maybe you want to give a little more clarity.
I'm thinking, well, I don't have all the details yet, but I'm thinking a 10-week
virtual
closed group.
This is a conversational based, not experiential.
No. We will be talking about different concepts each week that are related to sexuality and intimacy, and possibly giving you exercises to practice at home that will help with your sexual exploration journey, if you will, and sexual growth journey.
And that could be for single or folks in relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you have any shame or anxiety around sex, I would say that this would be extremely beneficial for you. So, yeah, if you're interested, let me know and we can talk about putting it together and starting it soon. Right, Lexi? Yeah.
All right, kids. Signing off. We hope you get 1% better.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining. Steph, you just jumped on there. Appreciate it. But we're finishing up. I think you can watch the replay, go back. So yeah, thank you guys. On the Instagram, I think it started a little funky, but that's fine. And that's it. Hope you guys have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. And there and here.